So the meeting came about obviously from a bit of a rant I had a few weeks ago. I was very disappointed generally with the quality of the work that not all, but most of you submitted. Okay, I felt it was somewhat rushed, and I knew, disappointingly, you could all do better. Now, I appreciate, obviously, I guess for many of you, the focus was on the Security Plus preparation. But having said that, we did obviously set this objective for the review some months before that as well. Okay. So there are a few basic principles that really frustrated me. One of them was proofreading. Okay, there were some which were not proofread at all. Okay, and I rather stupidly ran it through Grammarly, and I corrected all of those error messages for you. Errors for you, so that we don't have a game of sort of ping pong with this project until all the errors are sorted out. So I've done all that for you. The general feeling was that, again, we fell into this trap where you were telling me what you were doing rather than showing me. Okay, and this is particularly important for the skills and behaviors criteria, where you need to demonstrate the criteria that you're trying to cover. Okay, and talking about it will not suffice at all. Anyone can talk about something they supposedly have done, but without supporting evidence, no one's going to believe what you're saying. Okay, and this is this is exactly the same for the endpoint assessment provider as well, when they will independently assess you, and they will look at your project work to gauge whether you are as competent as you indicate in your work. Okay. So that was the other thing. There were some other little things as well where there seemed to be a theme of people creating contents pages, but not putting page numbers. So the contents page is superfluous if there's no page numbers on it. The other thing I noticed cropping up was also there was a lack of attention in selecting the headers which appeared in those contents pages. And in actual fact, if people had proofread the work, they would have noticed in their contents pages paragraphs of text appearing even in the contents page. So let me just share my screen and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Right, let's just go here and let's just bring this up. Okay, so this was the type of thing that I saw on more than one occasion as well. So we've got a contents page. Let's move that one out of the way. And as you can see, in some cases, we had big chunks of text. Okay, and this was purely down to the fact that some of you were selecting, all of that, and then going up to references and choosing the level for the contents page you want to put it in. Okay, so the important message is just select the text you want to appear in your contents page. And of course, if we go back up and refresh that, that should address that. There we go. Okay, and again, if some of you had checked your work before submitting it instead of literally throwing it at me, that would have been picked up. Okay. Right. So the big message really is, if you're going to be covering particularly the skills criteria, these S criteria, if we look at the GRC as well, you've got both of these documents. It's very much a case, guys, of making sure that if you are going to be demonstrating how you're maintaining security performance of systems against known and standard threats, you need to give me some supporting evidence which proves that. Okay, rather than just explaining, if I get a phishing email, I report it to XYZ. What I want to see is, right, okay, if you get a suspect email, show me what you do with it in the form of images and screenshots. Okay, what's the process? Okay. Other things that we had were, where were we? Just trying to think of some of the other ones here we had. It was some of more of the practical ones here as well. Oh yeah, tools as well. Okay, so a lot of you talked about the tools that you use within your job role, whether it's ServiceNow, whether it's some of the other troubleshooting tools. And again, there's nothing wrong with explaining what those tools do, but what I wanted to see for these particular criteria was you showing me a real situation where you are then utilizing those tools. Okay, so let me bring up a really good project. Okay, I'm just going to re-emphasize what we're looking for when it comes to the project work. Okay, so this individual, they work for Microsoft and they've given me approval to show their project too. I marked this week. So this is a 12,500 page project, 25 words. Okay, again, you've got to bear in mind, lads, it's not just me that is going to be seeing this product of your projects. Okay, this will be seen by the quality assurance team, but more importantly, at the very last 3 months of your apprenticeship, this will be passed over to an independent body who will make an assessment on whether you achieve your apprenticeship. So first impressions are crucial. Okay, and as you can see, we've got a nice header page here. We've got a contents page. Okay, and you can see there's no text appearing in there. It is literally just the headers. And then we got got a little bit of knowledge as well. You can see the way it's broken down. You know, it's really appealing to the eye, isn't it? Looking through this. So this project was focused on setting up a server. Okay, putting it onto the network, configuring RAID, all the things you would have covered in the Server Plus course in particular. Now, because this was also going on the network, this was a great opportunity to also link together a lot of the knowledge. And as some of you may be aware, there are criteria which ask you to explain ports and protocols. And where at all possible, I would always encourage you to not only explain your understanding of these criteria, but the relevance of them within some of the work that you do. And this is particularly the case here. Excuse me. So this individual, they talked about ports and protocols. They gave some examples, and as we go further into the project, you'll see how they then start to talk about some of the protocols that they're configuring, etc. They talk about the OSI layer model as well. And again, this is particularly relevant to deploying, and they will be talking about each of the layers that comes into effect when they are setting the server, you know, starting at layer 1, plugging it in to the network, you know, with an Ethernet cable, for example. Okay. Routing and switching. So you see, there's quite a nice amount of relevant knowledge. It's really nicely laid out as well. It's not in list form, it's in bullet form, but it's concise, it's succinct, and there's no waffle. You know, it just gives you the right amount of detail that you're looking for as well. All right, switching and routing. So I'm going to scroll down to where a lot of this then starts to be applied. All right. The other thing I spotted in the marking I did, this one cropped up quite a few times. Okay, the criteria is explain different network topologies, types and technologies. Now, for some of you, you only answered some of it. Okay, so for example, you all, I think, covered the network topologies. Some of you cover the types but didn't cover technologies, and vice versa. So please make sure you read the criteria carefully to make sure you document each, as in this case, of the 3 elements that they're looking for. Okay. So let's just scroll down to where all of this knowledge is then applied. So we've got some stuff there on cloud, etc. Okay. As you can see, you know, this was a pretty big project. Automation, and again, we'll see some automation in a moment within the project. So here we go. So as I always say, lads, I want to see what was the trigger for this piece of work. Okay, how did it come to you? Was it an email instruction? Was it a customer request? Is it a ticket? Okay, so this is how it's introduced. They're saying that it came in the form of a ticket. The job involved a server integration. Okay, involved using ILO as well. So it's obviously sort of HP kit this here. They signed in, and then what they do is they look at the ticket. Okay, so they filter down the tickets which are assigned to them, and this is where it all started. So you should always be doing this. This is your starting point. Okay. All right. And what they're doing is they're explaining everything that's going on in that ticket as if I know absolutely nothing about IT or their systems. All right. They're talking about SLAs. They're talking about security, severity levels as well. All right. Okay. And they're saying that in this case, they've basically got 2 days to complete this particular piece of work. That's what the SLA in this case refers to. All right. So as we go through, they're talking through the ticket, they're bringing up the ticket in more detail, explaining what it is they've got to do. So they've got to connect and configure servers, okay, and they're documenting every single step. There's the SLA there, okay. And then as we go through, they now start to talk about preparations. This is in a Microsoft data center. It is heavily security focused. They can't walk in with anything in their pockets. All phones, everything's got to be put in these trays. There's even a metal detector there to make sure they're going into that data center with nothing on them that is not approved. Okay, so again, this covers criteria like B2, working securely. Okay. All right, and again, they're explaining everything that they have to do as far as security compliance is concerned as well. Particularly, taking in, sort of BYOD, like bring your own devices, like USB sticks and things like this. They're not allowed to take any of that in. Then they go to talk about some of the other things, particularly PPE. So as you can see, they've got like a metal cap here, an anti-static cap. They've got anti-static gloves. They've got some other tools here for measuring fiber speeds and things like this as well. Okay, they've also got some special security tags which will have the installation software on. All of this they get from a secure locker where all of this is stored. There's also a KVM device here, so they can just use one keyboard and mouse on multiple devices. All right, talking about the layout of the kit as well, okay, and what they've got to do. All right, as you can see, every single step is being documented. They're talking about what else they've got to do. They've got to configure RAID 1. They've also got to configure DNS and IP addressing. They've also got to make sure they're wearing PPE. Okay, so now we start to move into the visual aspect. All right, so it's like I say, don't just tell me, you've got to show me. And this is what they're doing. So first of all, they're updating the firmware on the server before they then go into install the OS. And this is the process. So they're showing it's all plugged in. There's a range of screenshots. And what I like about this in particular is that you can see there's a figure under each image and they reference that figure in their write-up. Okay, just like so. All right, so that's the first part, which was all about the firmware upgrade. Every single screen change they're documenting. They're going to talk about IP addressing. Okay, and then going to start setting up RAID as well. So here's the RAID being set up. And again, you can see all the screenshots here as well. All right. And these are photos rather than screenshots because they obviously can't take screenshots with it in its current state because it doesn't have an OS on it at the moment. All right. So this is all done through the sort of BIOS, I suppose, on the server, which is why they're taking photos. So again, try and make sure your photos are nice and clear. And if I just blow that up, it is readable as well. All right. Any questions so far, guys?
No.
All good? Okay, so again, they're talking through all the things they're doing. They're literally telling me everything they're doing, assuming I know nothing. Okay, so now they're going to start deploying the OS and the virtualization software. So again, they're showing all the screenshots, and underneath they'll be explaining what's going on. Okay, you can see the reference to each of the images in there as well. All right. Silly things, like the end user license as well, agreements, it's about mentioning all those sorts of things that they have to comply with because it's all part of the process, isn't it? Okay, then go on to install Hyper-V. And again, you can see the wizard going through, showing what they're doing. All right, even the waiting screen. Okay. And again, they're referencing everything that's going on in those images. Okay. So when I get a project like this, it's a big project, it's 25 pages long. There's a lot to take in, but actually when it is presented so well, I can turn this around in 30 minutes. When I get something sent to me along the lines of what some of you guys sent me, and then I've got to amend 197 error messages and typos and all sorts of things I had in one of your projects, that can take me over an hour. Okay, technically speaking, I should write a comment for every typo that I spot, but believe you me, I'd literally spend probably 3 hours if I had to do all that with a project that wasn't proofread with 197 typos in it. Okay, which is why I do the work for you. So you've got to meet me halfway. I don't mind doing little bits and pieces my end, as long as you are happy that what you've sent me is the best quality piece of work that you can produce. Okay, so again, all the job's done. They're now going to securely put the installation USB sticks that they have been provided for this work back in the secure locker where it all needs to go. Okay, and now finally they go through the stage of updating the ticket to convey what they've done. So this is all about change control, isn't it? You know, so it's letting them know, whoever's going to read the tickets, what's been done to complete that piece of work. All right, and you can see the SLA work is all documented as well, and everything goes back in this locked locker for the next person as well. So it's all about security. Nothing goes outside of that data center back into the normal working area. So as part of this piece of work, they also talk about types of network maintenance. I know that some of you covered this one as well. Okay. And part of the network maintenance that they had to do was they also had to do a cable reseat. All right, so they've done the server installation. This is now another piece of work they're doing, and they're going to be using an optical link checker. Okay, so they're going to be checking the integrity of the fiber that they've done. Okay, so again, you know, they're going to log into their queues. You know, this is in effect for you guys. This is service now. So what's now coming for me? So this is what it is. They're explaining what's going to go on. They're going to be talking about the SLA. It's a priority level 4. Okay, they've got 14 days. So it's not, you know, it's not an urgent piece of work. This, it might just be a micro bend or something, or it might just be some proactive maintenance that they're doing. You know, it might just be a monthly check that they carry out whether there's anything wrong with the fiber or not. This is what I suspect is the case in this situation here. All right, and again, they've gone in and they've got all the finer detail of the ticket there as well. So we go down, and here we go. There again is all the PPE and the equipment that they're going to be needing. And you can see that they're now in the cab, and they're checking and reseating all the fiber. So basically they take it out, push it back in, and it clicks in. Okay, and that's part of the maintenance that they have to do. All right, you can see wearing PPE here as well. Okay, and here's the results from the optical link checker. Okay, so this plugs into some sort of dashboard by the looks of it, and it gives these sort of light readings for each of the ones that they've checked. Okay, and again, explaining exactly what they're doing. So once the cable's plugged in, I allow 1 to 2 minutes for the link to be established, and then I monitor the LED status, and take a note of the results. And here they are. Okay, and there we go. Okay, and again, you know, it's more evidence here of the ticket and the results as well. And finally, what they do is they close down the ticket to say that maintenance task has been done. All right. So there's going to be various maintenance tasks, you know, that you can do. And as you all know, you know, that we got that proactive maintenance where we are not waiting for something to go wrong, but we're doing maybe a weekly, maybe a monthly, maybe in a 6-monthly form of maintenance or checks as well. Okay. And then there'll be reactive, you know, so something has gone wrong, and part of the maintenance that we do is to investigate it and fix it. Okay. We've got change management, so we know how important change management is. Okay, and again, they put a little bit of knowledge there as well. And you'll find that if you go back into the tickets, they talked about what they changed as far as the fiber work was concerned, and the server installation. Okay, so all of that was documented in the notes above as well. So that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. Okay, you can see the continuity is there throughout the whole project. You know, we've got this type of effect going, and if we go to any of the headings or the criteria, we'll just go back up to another one. I think it's one at the top here. You'll see that the heading at the top follows the same theme, even for the ones at the bottom as well, and everything in between. Okay. So I've marked your projects. I know some of you have now resubmitted those, and I will be remarking that again. So what I would say is, for those of you who've yet to do the rework for me, look at my comments. My comments are giving you as much help as I possibly can. Okay, and if you look at those recommendations I've made, you should find you'll be able to turn that piece of work around quite easily next time. Okay. If you need any help at all, please just reach out to me. Okay, I'm here to help. If you want any one-to-one help, I know that Khan, you reached out to me and we did just that, didn't we, the other week? Again, please feel free to do that. You know, I'm more than happy to do whatever I can to help you get this project over the line. Okay. Any questions at all? No? Okay. Now, on the 4th of August, I also sent you another document. So let me just share this other document with you. Let's just share my screen, actually. Okay, so I sent you an email, and within that email was this document as well. So I put this together for you guys. And basically what it does, it looks at all the criteria and it bundles up the criteria based on specific tasks. Okay, so for example, if you are planning your work, you're sorting out your queue, you're organizing your workflow, these are the types of criteria that we can cover just with that piece of work. Okay, so there's a couple of skills based ones. So it's about outlining and demonstrating how you organize and prioritize stakeholder or client or customer requests and explain the use of service level agreements. So you saw in that project I just showed you that she filtered down her tickets. She identified a piece of work that she was going to work on, which was the server installation, and then later on the fiber link check and the receipts. And she showed the SLA timeframes that were associated with that work, so she could prioritize it as well, and then provided at the initial part of that project some screenshots showing all of that. Then they did the work, and then they closed down the ticket, updating the SLA, etc., etc. Okay, so that's fundamentally what these two criteria are all focusing on. Okay, so it's describing the second one here, describing how you've carried out your role. So, you know, within your notes, in other words, you'll be updating your ticket saying what you've done, and that's all that is as well. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay. We then can, you know, look at some more complex tasks, but there's quite a few more criteria. So this one here is defining network tasks. Again, you know, there's a good opportunity to demonstrate quite a nice bit of knowledge within some of these tasks. But fundamentally, you know, this will be working with things like subnetting and working out host numbers, for example, and also demonstrating how you use various tools when it comes to upgrading, configuring systems, things like this. I know that Fayage, I think we covered this one, didn't we, when we did the IP phone work. You did an upgrade for us, you know, and that type of thing, covered that as well in Unified Comms. Okay, so what I'll do, you know, I'll send this out to you again after the meeting. It was sent out on the 4th of August at 2:22, if you want to dig out the email. But this is quite good, you know, particularly thinking about other projects in trying to align as many criteria to the type of work you're doing. So look through here and think, oh yeah, I'm going to do some security work in CSOC, for example. What type of criteria should I be targeting within this piece of work that I'm about to do? You know, and again, if you've not already done it, you can be explaining the types of security threats that exist out there, you know, from phishing to DDoS, viruses, malware, keyloggers, all those sorts of things, even some of the physical sort of threats as well, like over the shoulder, all that sort of stuff. Okay, you've learned all of this in your Sec Plus, you know, so it should be very, very familiar to you as well. Again, demonstrating how you maintain security and performance. Again, if you're working in CSOC in particular, that's a very good one. If you don't, it may well be that you are doing some firewall work, or you've had a suspect email come into your inbox, which you know you think, this doesn't look quite right. Show me, how do you deal with that? How do you report it? Okay, because you will have a reporting mechanism in place where you will escalate suspected phishing emails. And finally, explain and demonstrate how you have applied the appropriate processes, policies, and legislation to ensure security and performance requirements have been met. Again, you know, if you're following processes when it comes to reporting phishing emails, that piece of evidence will also cover that criteria as well. All right, so you can see, if you just look through, you can see how I've grouped all these criteria together for specific tasks. Any questions at all? No?
No.
Okay. So the main message then, lads, is let's draw a line under my rant for project 1. For project 2 rather. Okay. Let's not have a repeat of that, because I know you guys can do so much better. That's probably the biggest issue I had, is the fact I got very frustrated because I know that you can do better. And it really felt like you just threw this work at me in some cases and just hope it stuck. And I was frustrated because I thought, you've not proofread it. I've got one here which had 197 error messages in, typos and presentation issues. I had contents pages on more than one occasion that contained some of the main project text as well. And the main thing is proofread it, then send it in. If you are frustrated with the project, swap projects. Khan, you swap yours with Louis, and Louis, you swap yours with Khan. There's lots of different ways in which we can proofread each other's work as well. Okay, and very often you'll find that's quite a good way of doing it, because you've been working something on all day. I would either have a break of an hour before you then proofread it, or pass it over to somebody else, because a fresh set of eyes may well pick up something that you've not spotted yourself. Okay. So the underlying message is, particularly for the skills, particularly for the behaviors, don't just tell me, show me. I want to see every step right from the very beginning all the way through to the very end. Sometimes I get screenshots saying, right, this is what I've got to do, and this is what I did, and they show me the end result with nothing else in between. Okay. If you're installing equipment or configuring it, don't forget part of that process should be testing it as well. Very often, individuals forget to include all the testing. Okay. And if you make a cock up, if it doesn't go to plan, if you've overlooked something, document it. Okay. There's no shame in it. What I want to see is, how did you resolve it? It covers criteria, believe it or not. All right. Any questions? All good. Anything
Yeah,
for
all
you,
good
Accrual?
from us.
Sorry, Khan. You're all
No,
good?
no, that's all good. I just
Good.
spoke up to
All
say
right.
so.
Okay. So let's just have a bit of a reality check. Okay. So your apprenticeship with me, your 21 months, will end in June of next year. Okay. We've seen how quickly this past year has flown by. I need another 3 projects from you at least, okay, to cover the criteria. If your name's Mantas, you'll probably get away with 3 projects in total, okay, because of the way they're done. If you're going to copy anybody, Mantas will be the person, okay? So that's what I'll be doing. I say, no, can I have a look at your projects, Mantas? Show me what you do, because I want to try and be like you. I want to, get in parents' good books, so to speak. So we're going to be looking for another 3 projects at least, okay? Bear in mind that it's not just me that's going to be looking at this work. It's going to be the endpoint assessment people. They will make the decision. The other important thing to remember, lads, is you have to understand the knowledge that you're writing about. Okay. I know that the temptation is to use ChatGPT or Google and sort of paste things in. So try and avoid plagiarism. I've not seen that. But on the other hand, you've got to make sure that what you're writing you understand, because at the EPA interview, they will pick 15 criteria and they will say, right, Callum, talk to me about switching and routing. How's it work? What protocols do you use? Okay, so you've got to know your stuff. If you don't, you will fail. Okay, we will do lots and lots of preparation prior to that, but just try and get into the habit that don't just write stuff on paper, understand what you're writing, because you will be questioned on it. All right. We'll also be talking next year about learning how to use Cisco Packet Tracer. That will form half of the assessment that you'll do for the EPA as well. And Cisco Packet Tracer, if you've never seen it, it's a piece of software that allows you to recreate on paper, or on screen rather, a network architecture, and you can configure switches, routers, firewalls, endpoint devices, APs, everything. So it's a bit like having boxes of equipment that you're going to set up, albeit you'll do it in the software instead. And you will need to learn that package. So there's 3 courses that you'll need to do, and I would encourage you to then, once you've learnt it, to try and replicate your home network, try and replicate part of the network there at Expo as well. All right, just to get a good feel for it. Any final questions at all? Hello, Mantas.
Hey there.
I was just singing your praises just now. I want everybody to copy your projects.
Oh, sorry, I'm probably a bit late.
No, that's okay. It's a nice point to join, actually, when someone is singing your praises. So yeah, let's draw a line under project 2. I want to see a massive improvement now in your future projects. Okay, for those of you who have not turned around your rework yet, get that to me early part of January. I'm not going to be able to get to it before Wednesday. My last day for this year will be Wednesday the 20th. Okay, and I've got a few bits and pieces for some of the other cohorts to mark between now and then anyway. But take your time, make sure it's right before you fire it over to me, and we should be able to sign that one off the second time round. All right. Chris, any words from you at all?
No, just to clarify, what's the date they're looking to finish up on? What month was that?
The date, let me just bring
Yeah, just a month date. Was it? Did you say it was?
It was June. Yes, it's June.
June.
The exact date is
no, just a month is fine. So
yeah, June 24.
Really,
June 24. Yeah.
So 2 projects written, or or with one still being written in some cases, completed, and they've got potentially another 3 to do within January, February, March, April, at best.
At best, yeah. May as a contingency. I mean, if your projects are large, again, I'm going to mention Mantas. If your projects are significant, then the number of potential projects that you end up doing will be less. Okay, I think Mantas, I think it's fair to say, Mantas, you'll be done in 3 projects. You've got 2 completed already, both signed off. You're working on your 3rd. I mean, Mantas is in a bit of a situation where he could be starting EPA in February.
So we can get him through a bit early if we can, Perrin,
yeah. And
please.
lads, if you push hard, we can do the same for you as well.
Yeah,
okay.
Get you off the apprenticeship as quick as you can.
Yeah, absolutely. You
we don't want to
achieve and
delay
then
it
you
for you.
come off the apprenticeship salaries, lots of benefits to it. Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Cool.
It's yours, guys. It's yours there to get through. But yeah, I think that's a really clear overview, Perrin. So thank you very much.
No, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. I apologize for the rant, guys, but you have to appreciate, if you're in my shoes, some of the stuff you're looking at, you probably wouldn't. Well, I don't have any more hair to pull out, but that's kind of what I was going through.
It's not so much a rant. I think it's just I think with the haze of what each of them are doing at the minute, whilst there's a bit of complacency, there's also the Chris Christou, director of engineering, and the line managers are fully aware of what's going on, and they're very invested in this, guys. As you know, they're very invested. But equally, Chris is looking to make sure and see who are the front runners, what's happening with the apprentices, who's working and who's not working. And he gets monthly updates from me because I've been working in this area now more closely than others. So he's very much in tune with what's going on and is aware of what's outstanding. So he's really keen to see the finished product from all of you.
Yeah.
That's the key message. He's really keen to see the finished products.
That's right. And I've never had anyone fail their apprenticeship if they've met me halfway. Okay. I've withdrawn people who couldn't be bothered. But if you put the work in, you'll achieve this. You really will. I won't let anybody fail if you meet me halfway. All right. Right. Well, that's it. Thank you very much for joining. Let me just stop the recording. It just leaves me to wish you all a happy